Hello everyone, TheSenpaiCode here. So for today's episode, I figured we would do a movement script, creating our own little capsule collider here, our little capsule character, then creating a movement script for him, also organizing a bit of the scripts in and deleting a couple that we don't need any longer, such as the character script that we had to the side here. We don't need it since we're calling tags through other scripts, so we can delete that. The blink script we put into the AdvanceMovement, which I'll show you guys here in a second. And there's just quite a bit of stuff that we can get into. So with this script, we don't want to rotate in the air. We want to double jump. I don't want the character to move backwards, stuff like that. So let's just jump into this. So first thing that you're going to need to do is create a game object, 3D, and then create a capsule. And what I did is, for this capsule, I also created a box and I put it at the front here so I know which way the character is facing. You can do that with a sphere, box, whatever you want. It just gives you some sense of direction. Next, we're going to create a couple new tags. So if you go to Edit and you go to Program Settings and then Input, you can actually create a couple new inputs, I should actually say, instead of tags. So right now, most people will call on the horizontal or the vertical. The vertical will be what moves the character forward, backwards. It has a positive and a negative, and it also has alternative positive negatives. So like the W key is the positive, it will move you forward. The up key is the original up is the original button that will move you forward, and then the negatives, which is the minus, which is the reverse, so the S will move you backwards. We won't be using the vertical. What I went ahead and did is I did the size. If you increase the size, it will give you more that you can actually rename and then give a sense of direction to. So go ahead and increase the size, and then go ahead and name one forward, and just copy what it's going to be doing for the vertical. So if you put the up key as the positive and then the double key, and then don't put any negatives, so this will only move you forward. So when we call the forward function, it will only move you forward. Make sure you also have the gravity and the sensitivity in the snap and the dead the same as the vertical. That's all you need to do for the forward, and then whenever we call the forward function, it won't move us back also. But if you call the vertical, it will move you forward and backwards unless you get rid of the commands, which I don't want to do. I want to keep a vertical just for the sake of it. I went ahead and I did create a backwards rotation left, rotation right, strafe left and right. We won't be calling those in this episode. Maybe in the later episode we will call those, but don't worry about them for now. I'll go over them when we get to that. So now that we have the inputs done, what we want to do is add all our scripts to the capsule collider here. So add our player health, pushback, make sure that it has a capsule collider. It should. If it doesn't, feel free to add one. And then add a rigid body. Just go ahead and hit add component, physics, and then add a rigid body. Now make sure that it's freeze rotation, X, Y, and Z are checked off. We don't want it to lean to one side. We don't want it to fall over. And just make sure the gravity and mass and angular drag is all the same as it is here. So what we want to do now is just right click, go to create, C#, and then name that AdvanceMovement like I have here. So let's go over the AdvanceMovement script. So it's a pretty simple script at the moment. It has a public float speed, and this is going to be the movement speed. So whatever it is equal to is the speed that will be times in for the time.delta time, which I'll go over down below. So the speed is at the moment set to 7. If you increase it, the faster you'll go. So we do have a public float rotation speed equals 300. And this will be the rotation speed that we'll be rotating at. And then it does have the blink distance from the blink script because I have added the blink script into this script. I'm trying to organize everything and put everything together a bit smoother. So we do have a private float and another private float for the Z and X axis, which will be the forward and the rotation. And these are public, the first three, so we can actually change them in the inspector here to get the whatever we want through the inspector to test it, and then we can make it private later on. There is 3 bools. We do have a bool for on ground, and that is at the moment is equal true, and that will tell us if we're on the ground or not, and I'll go over that later on when we get down below. And then we do have a bool for can double jump, and that will tell us that we are able to double jump or not. And we have a bool for air control, because I don't want to rotate in the air. I don't want the person to be able to move in the air to direct and go left or right. And if you don't have that, then you're going to be able to move in the air, which we'll go over in a second. So the void start here, nothing in it. The void update, we're calling the move, the rotate, and the jump, and the blink forward function. So the void move, let's go over that since it's the first one. It's pretty simple. It's calling the Z, which is the float up here, and so it's input get access forward. So that input that we did through the inspector there, that's what it will be calling, and it's times in by the speed. So the speed that we have, the movement speed, which is 7, and then times time dot delta time, and then that is the transform dot translate on the Z axis here. So it's going to be moving us forward and backwards is what this axis should be doing. And the void rotate is a little bit more in depth, because we do have a raycast hit for it, so that we can tell if we're on the ground or not. And so let's get into this. So if on ground and air control is false, so because there's that exclamation mark, it's not true, so it's false. So if we are on the ground and we're not in the air, then we're able to do this, which is input.access rotate, horizontal, which is the rotate, and we're timesing that by the rotate speed times time dot delta time, and then transform dot rotate, and that is on the x-axis here. So we're able to rotate, and x is the float up here, because we need to name it something. And then we go into the raycast hit. So this does have a capsule collider, which we'll see here in a second. So the vector3 physics center equals this transform's position. So this transform that we have plus this dot get component capsule collider. So it's calling on the capsule collider, and it's putting the raycast in the center of it, which is right here, center, and it's going to be facing down about 1.5. So it will, if it hits it, then it's on the ground. If it doesn't hit anything, then it's not on the ground. So if physics.raycast physics center vector3 down, so pointing down on hit, so it's going down to hit 1.5. If it does hit something, it's on the ground, and on ground equals true, else on ground equals false. So if it doesn't hit anything, it's false. If it does, it's true. And then we go into the void jump function. So if input dot get button down jump, so the jump input, which is the space bar, and it's not in the air, then it can double jump. And this should actually probably go down below, because this is the first jump here. So I should actually start with this. If input dot get button down jump, and on ground, then this dot get component rigid body, so it's getting this rigid body, and it's adding force up, the vector3 up, to the amount of 220. So it's going to give us that motion of a jump. It's going to be smoother than just teleporting the person kind of up a bit. And then it can double jump because it was on the ground. So now it's in the air and it's not on the ground, so it can double jump. So, and then it can't jump anymore because the double jump will then equal false. And then I do have this at 200 and this at 220, just to make it kind of jump a bit at the same height for when you jump again. And then this blink forward is just the blink script that we did in the past. I just moved it right down here. And then I changed the raycast solid to a raycast hit, and the hit here also. But this is all the same. I may add it to call the rigid body for the forward or not. So then lastly, we have the bounce on command, which is this dot get component rigid body add force vector3 up, and then times 200. And I want it to be the same bounce as the character's jump. And the reason I added this here is because for the enemies in the past video, I'm just going to hit play here. When we jumped on the enemies, and you may know this level from Spyro, it is one of Spyro's main levels there. And I did move the gems here. So this character can actually interact with everything that we have done. So it can actually like grab the gems that we had previously. So this is the turtle model that we had previously did in the last tutorial. We are able to actually bounce off him instead of when we jumped on him we would just walk off him. So now when we actually interact with him and jump on him, it's calling that bounce script off of his thing. So see, we just bounced off of him and then he's going to go through his animation and then die. And then here is the double jump. So we can hit and we can jump. And something else with that turtle there is when we jump onto him and it bounces us off, we are able to jump again because we didn't actually do our double jump yet, so we are able to double jump even further. So in the air we can't rotate, so I'll just jump again. We can't rotate until we actually hit the ground, then we can actually rotate around. We are able to interact with the spikes and stuff, so when we actually jump on, let this reset here, so we will actually get pushed back, the knock back, boom, so we're knocked back. We do our blink and everything. Let's show you guys that everything does work. The thing that I haven't added yet is a slope and gravity onto the script. I do want to add those on here shortly in the next few episodes so that we can actually go through the slopes. Let's go down to the turtle and I'll show you what I did add into that code as well. So with the turtle there, when we jumped on top, we had the smacked script. So if I go edit script, all I did was find component of type advanced movement. So we're finding our advanced movement and then we're calling bounce on command. And that's all that I added onto that. That's all there is for that. So I do have some stuff down below, which I'm not going to get into at the moment. I'm still working some stuff out. But if you remember Crash Bandicoot, how you're able to bounce on the boxes, in between the boxes, and then the fruits would go. That's something that I've been working on, so I can actually bounce in between the boxes and then the fruit would actually go or whatever. And then we can actually tell the script to actually, and we could actually create the boxes in 3D Studio Max and tell the script to play the animation. So I have did a tutorial on how to create the low poly pixeled boxes and the animation. You could do something like that and just reanimate it in Unity here and call on that. I might do that later on. And then something else, oh, there's that blink. So the blink, it did move us forward and it does stop us at the object. And then something else that I've been working on is a spring. Like in Sonic, you had those springs. We could actually model a spring and then animate it and then have a function where when we jump on it, we bounce up. And then that could get us to wherever we want to go, or over things, or onto ledges, edges too. And that can be another way to get around the levels. So that's something else I've been working on. So something that we could do too is if you have levels like this, how you can kill people before they even reach the ground is simple. It's just create a cube, a game object, a cube. Just let's move it up, let's resize it. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to kind of make it cover the whole level. I'm just going to move it down a bit. I'm just going to move it up till about there, and I'm just going to move it so that it covers the whole level. And then I'm going to turn the mesh renderer off, and then I'm going to add our damage script to this. I'm going to put it at 100. So this will instantly kill the character. And this is a way that you can actually, I'm just going to move it up this a little bit more, stop the character from actually reaching the ground. If you actually want to do like an animation, which I do want to do later, if the character falls like off the old video games and the camera will actually stop, the character will continue falling, and you can actually use dark clouds, we can do mist, we can do stuff like that, like a fog system. So when the character actually falls off now, oh, whoops, I didn't put it as a trigger. Just make sure you turn it on as a trigger too. That would be pretty embarrassing. So yeah, so now when we drop off, we should actually take 100 damage, which is our full health here. So we do hit it, and it's game over. And that's something, a different way that we can actually stop characters. We can put like a plane down and then do like a animated GIF of like a vortex, like a purple vortex, black hole type thing. We could take the particle effects, turn them purple too, or the same color as the vortex, and we can put that around and have like a kind of fog or mist going on. There's so many different ways that we can actually do stuff like this. So one last thing before I actually let you guys go, sorry about this. For the portals here, what we could actually do is put like a plane there, and then we can animate a GIF like the vortex down below. And then, oops, I just blinked forward. We could actually do a portal scene like what we did in the previous episode, where we went through portals and how to teleport to different levels. We could actually put each one of these portals to different levels, and then we could actually just teleport the player to different levels that way. So I just figured if you guys want an idea how to do that, that's one way that you could do it. So yeah, sorry about keeping you guys a bit longer. And yeah, I'll go over the double jump here with the character. So boom, we hit it, and then we're able to do the double jump, just to show you guys that it does work. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.
The feeling starts.